have there. And all my sweetie people in the world out there, if you want to just say hi, sweetie. Remember, I needed a hug last week. I use hugs every week now. I mean, it's like going to be a norm and all that. So you guys can do that as well. So I hope y'all excited because I'm excited. Let me get ready to get him in here. And we're gonna again, what you're about to hear, you may not believe it. But we're gonna hear it live. So let me find out here. All right, Darren, I got him to the stage. Let me shift the camera view for both of us here. Oh, there we go. Darren, what's going on? Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you fine. How you doing today?
Well, we're doing all right, man. So I got you here in the audience, and they can see you loud and clear. So we'll do a mic check. Mic check. I think they can do that. I'm just waiting on my sweeties to come through. Hi, sweetie. There we go. I got about 4 of them. You know, I have to, only 4. Shit. I would hope I get at least 10 women, that will say that, and I just want to point that out. Not that, anything other than, but just that's just, my pronoun is women.
Yes. I understand that. Right. I'm a single man. I'm a single man right now. So,
well, shit. All right, then. This is the place. If you want to find some high strangeness and love in this particular arena of aliens and extraterrestrials, I got them for you. There's a lot of them out here that are, at some point. So we're gonna get ready to go there. All right. So they can hear us both. Let's start out first with, first of all, let's give me in the audience, tell them who you are and just your background before we get into anything. So I just want to start there. Give us your background, who you are, so they can authenticate your story.
Yes, my name is Darren Cubie. I am the son of Cordell Jones from the music group the Chi Lites, best known for Have You Seen Her, Old Girl, Letter to Myself, Power to the People, and some of the remakes that became very successful from my father's group was like Beyonce's remake, Got Me Going So Crazy Right Now, which was remade from my father's song Are You My Woman that he led on that song. And MC Hammer remade Have You Seen Her. Beyonce went double diamond, and she became the first, became her first double diamond record. MC Hammer became the first rapper in history to go diamond with the remake of my father's song Have You Seen Her. They sold about 100 million records. My father tragically died in '94. Homeless and destituted due to the level of exploitation that my father was dealing with, along with my mother and our family.
All right. Well, condolences to you and your family from the Truth Seekers community. I speak for us on that point there. And all right, so you're his son, and you and your mother, you lived with him for quite some time, correct? And what's your father's name again?
My father's name is Cordell Jones from the Chi Lites.
Okay. And
Cordell Jones.
And what was his position there in the Chi Lites?
He was the baritone singer, and co-founder of the music group the Chi Lites.
Okay.
He co-founded it, and he was a singer.
He was a singer. Okay. All right. So we're gonna set that up. I'm just gonna dive right into this sugar honey iced tea. Okay. And you contacted me through our email in our hotline. We had a conversation. And I will say this, first of all, when I first read the email, and then of course you called in, and I was blown away with the story. I even was to a point like, there is no way in hell that I'm going to put this out on the airwaves because of the implications of some of the things that we're going to get into tonight, the people that's implicated in this thing tonight, and just put that out there. But I said, you know what? This is not just for me. This is for our community. This is Truth Seekers. And I now look at it as a privilege to say, hey, we're going to talk about it out here, okay? Because there may be others who wouldn't touch it, who may just say, well, just ignore some of this stuff, right? And tried others for me, right? But this time, you're at the right place in the right time. So I'm going to start out first with what I do know we spoke about, and this is the alien connection to your family. And we will go into that first, and I'll just give you an outline. Then we'll later get into some of the satanic rituals. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about even your trauma and things that you went through. Now, we'll forewarn you that I have a couple of questions. I have researchers. Nicole is one of our lead researchers, and as always, she does her due diligence when it comes down to conversations and things that we have. So I have a few things that she researched on and a couple other ones, and of course we put that in. So we'll talk about that tonight too, so that you're not caught off guard with anything. But I do know that you are going to be open from there. So let's start with this alien. First of all, how is your family, the Chi Lites, in your family, period?
Chi Lites.
Chi Lites.
The Chi Lites.
Yeah. That's me. You know what? And let me get my disclaimers to my art. They know. I have a grammar box over here to the left and a spelling box over here. If I misspell any words, they know they have unlimited use of this box. They can go in and pull in the letters and correct it. If I mispronounce anything, because my community has this telepathy and they can hear things on their own in their mind. They heard me say Chi Lites, but they actually said Chi in their head. You better believe that. Fair enough?
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
All right. So let's just go with, take us back to the alien connection to your family first.
Okay. Yeah. Well, from my youngest recollection, which I'm gonna say around 5 years old, my father, somehow his mother basically gave him several extraterrestrial devices, which was passed down from his mother, which was Native American, Black, and Puerto Rican. Okay. And so he acquired the extraterrestrial devices that he showed my mother and me, our family. He acquired that through his mother, and my mother was given that by my father, Credell, from the Chi Lites. And from what I gathered, it seemed to be a extraterrestrial holographic mapping device system that was used on spaceships. And what they did was similar to what you would have a camera on a core camera or a ship camera or just a security camera. This camera was used to do holographic mapping of planets, landscapes, and extraterrestrial planets and solar systems and galaxies, etc. And it was basically used as a way to map out and chart different world landscapes and different extraterrestrial creatures and humanoid individuals that they found on other planets that they visited.
Okay. Now, first of all,
then yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
And we also had what we have, which my father was given this by one of the Black Panthers leaders, I think from Chicago. Him and the Chi Lites, Marshall Thompson, Eugene Records, and Robert Lester, and my father, Credell Jones, was given these glasses similar to like Ray-Bans. They look like Ray-Bans. And he was given these glasses to wear, and it would give him the ability to see UFOs in the sky. And also, if you were to look through the glasses, you can actually see extraterrestrials, or you could see people that look like normal people like you and I. And these glasses they're like X-ray vision glasses that were used by, and let me tell you this, the Black Panthers got these glasses from the Secret Service. They had some defectos who wanted to help the Black Panther organization. And so what they did is they gave them these, if you notice that Secret Service men tend to use Ray-Ban type glasses all the time. They wear these sunglasses. Well, these sunglasses in the Secret Service division allows them to be able to actually see, not only see what's in front of them, but they can actually see through atmospheres like in the sky, if it was a spaceship that was in the air that no one else could see, and it had a cloaking device on it where no one can hear or see it with their naked eye, these glasses give you the ability to actually see through cloaking devices that spaceships and extraterrestrials use in order to cover their appearance here on Earth when they're in the skies. Not all the time. Some people see UFOs, but a lot of times there'll be UFOs in the sky and no one can even see them because they have cloaking device technology. So the Secret Service had these glasses, and somehow, I'm just assuming somehow the Black Panthers, which were people who were involved with civil rights, and they were highly protective of civil rights. So what happened is my father and the Chi Lites became very good contributors, donators to the Black Panther organization throughout Chicago, St. Louis, and the Midwest. And one day, one of the Black Panthers members and leaders decided to share this information and technology with my father and the Chi Lites, because all the Chi Lites were there, along with my dad and the owner of the record company, Nathan Trainapo. They all were there, and we're all given and shown these glasses. Now that's one thing. And then my mother had several other devices. She had a extraterrestrial panel. I'm assuming that worked in the guidance system of the UFO that we know of as UFOs. This type of device was used as a signature handprint control device that they would use to operate things like spaceships, doors, kind of similar to the retina technology that we have today, and the fingerprint technology. The device worked in a way that the extraterrestrial EBT would have to put their hands in the mold of this extraterrestrial panel column, which I think operated spaceships and other things.
All right, I'm gonna hold right there for a second.
Yeah.
So we don't get too far along, because my mind is racing.
Yeah.
First of all, we're talking about technology. You're talking about technology. You're talking very scientific stuff. Now, these are things that you saw when let me take the audience back to time. So we're talking about, you were 6 years old, right? And
yes. And 6 or 7.
I'm trying to gather, and you can explain it. How are you so much into this technology? You know what it was, who it was. In fact, who was that insider that these glasses and stuff come from? So I want to know that.
Okay. These were Black Panthers, who obviously entered.
You're saying?
I'm thinking they were related to the Fred Hampton division in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh,
they were from his division.
That's another story within itself. All right, so so what is it? How is it that you? Because we're all going back, and so I want to make sure I keep a timeline as we continue down this path. And we're talking about your mother had devices. We're talking about holographic, things there. So let me break all of these up for the audience, and let's just go back to the beginning of this holographic machine. Now, where did this come from?
Okay, this was an extraterrestrial holographic projector that dealt with taking images, holographic images, and you making these images into physical objects. So when this projector records an image, it duplicates the image in a energetic matter holographic imagery system, which the images were actually would become physical map. Okay, so somehow this device can take images and transform them into physical matter, consisting of energetic materials that you can physically touch. But when you deactivate the device, the images, I guess they kind of like vanish. Like if you turn a projector on and then you turn it off and the images
Now,
vanish, right?
You saw this with your own eyes as
Yes.
you were. All right. So take me back to a moment. How did it come about? Who used it? How did it show up or whatever? And first of all, how did it get there?
Okay. Well, my father introduced this object to my mother, this extraterrestrial holographic machine. This was around 1981, 82, before we had good knowledge of technology involving holographic capability. But this device was a device that could not only record your images like a camcorder or even a cell phone camera can do today. It would transfer those images into physical matter, objects that you can literally physically touch, pick up, and interact with. So it was way beyond the technology we have today. But how my father got this technology was through my grandmother, which was his mother. And it was passed down from I believe from his Indian side of his family. I seen a documentary on the National Geographic, I think it was, involving extraterrestrial technology. And what I witnessed was a Native American chief, I think a Navajo chief or Apache chief, had wind up getting one of my father's bores, which was connected on it came from a spaceship. So my father also had devices that were like almost metallic metal objects that I don't know if they fit on the door or whether they fit somewhere on the spaceship, but they came from the spaceship. And the reason how I know this is because it had extraterrestrial Egyptian hieroglyphics, something that looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics, but it was really extraterrestrial writing of extraterrestrial hieroglyphics on it. And it was all over the actual board. And so the last time I've seen that device was on a documentary involving extraterrestrial artifacts. And this was involving one of the Native American tribal chiefs who somehow acquired this very same board that my father had. And I don't know if my father gave it to some of his Native American family members and this tribal Indian chief got it, or I don't know whether maybe he had a piece of the spaceship wreck of a UFO from the same spaceship that my father's mother got these objects from. I don't know how that they got that. But I want to say this, as far as my family being involved with extraterrestrials, there's a passage in the Bible that talks about the Nephilim and the Anunnaki, and how the Anunnaki, which were thought of as the fallen angels, and how the fallen angels interbred with human women, saw they were fair, had children by them, and their children became kings and queens and men of renown. And to mention about how my father's family may be linked into extraterrestrial bloodline is because I noticed that my father's brother named Kenneth is well over 6'8", so 6'8", and he weighs over 500.
You saying he was a giant?
Oh my God. Yeah, he's so big he would have to
hold right there because I got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a note, giant uncle.
And I also want to say this about my aunt. My aunt, this happened after a world tour. Yes, this happened after a world tour concert with my father and the Chi Lites and the Jackson 5 members, right? Michael Jackson and Jackson 5 members. They were doing a nationwide tour with the Jackson 5 in 1981, 82. And then the Chi Lites continued to Europe and throughout the world and continued a world tour concert after the nationwide concert here in the United States. They continued their concert performances overseas.
Hold on a minute. This is so much. You're getting ahead of me. Just hope I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want
no.
So that we can come back to all of those, but I didn't want you to move to another one, this one, because we're gonna get back to the giant uncle. I don't want to leave that hanging. I want to also, but what I would like to say this though, because there's a lot of things that you're saying that I'm sure there's people out there. So first of all, I want you to go
Yes.
two places real quick here. One, kind of give the audience this perspective of how your memory of these things is so great at 6 years old, and then the knowledge of today that you're putting into this, so they can kind of bridge the gap, because you're talking not so much high level things, but you're bringing these things into fruition, but you're also seeing what you saw when you were 6 years old. So I want
Right.
to kind of be able to distinguish between the two, or bring it together of how, because that would be anybody's speculation how somebody this young could remember these distinctive details, as opposed to from hands to, you put your hands in it, it's holographic, because you're speaking terminology today a little different. So go into that, and then I got a request for you after that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, um, I believe, well, I've always had a very good memory. I always had a high comprehension ever since I was a child. Most people don't believe that 5 or 6 year olds and 7 and 8 year olds have a comprehension to be able to understand what their environment is and the things that are going on around their environment. But I've always had that ability to be able to comprehend. But I intensified after my aunt drowned me. I did a research type of a research investigation as to, I wanted to know myself how my memory was so short like this. And apparently, when a child has a severe traumatic event, it can intensify their memory. It really intensifies the capability of their comprehension and their memory of what happened to them. Although I did suffer amnesia for a short period of time, but my comprehension has always just been very high. I just could understand things ever since I was a child very well.
All right. So speaking at child, I don't know if you know a lady named Barbara Lamb. She's a regression therapist. Okay. She can go back, and I would like to extend the offer, and I'll probably get donations from my audience to do so, because she does have a price tag and we wouldn't want you to pay it. Would you be open to having her do a regression on you? And then, of course, I will film it, and then maybe in another, we can show it to the audience.
Yes, I actually, I'm trying to get this camera right, man. I'm trying to yes, I would actually love to do that. Yes, I wanted to do it, and I'd be open to it, because there's so much things that I myself I remember a lot, but I can't remember the full amount of things as much in detail as I would like. So yeah.
Okay, that's 100%. Cool. That's cool. And so that there's people in the audience who are saying that they can remember when they was born. So your memory of all that is a little different. So I hope you guys can hear me okay. I did they were saying my audio was a little lower than yours. All right, so let's go back now. So we established the fact that you could possibly have been a childhood prodigy with memory. That's my humor. So you can laugh. I am funny. But
I'll tell you this. When I was a child, when I was a little kid, right? And I'm talking about like when I was about 4 years old. I do remember seeing I would say about 4 extraterrestrial beings in my bedroom, and me and my sister's bedroom. And they were just staring down at me in the baby crib. They were just looking at me very intensely like this, and just staring down at me real hard. Damn. And I'm like,
that could be
I got scared. It was 4 entities, 4 extraterrestrial EBT entities. Yes.
Okay, so give me your like I said, man, you have I got some notes and scribbles all over this damn thing. And then I'm gonna go back. So anybody in the audience, if y'all make notes of your questions, I'm gonna take some questions from the audience later on tonight, and we would do that. Great uncle, being a giant. Let's go into that. You talk about Nephilims, you talk about those things. Give me the connection and why you think so.
Why do I think he's a Nephilim? mainly his height. I mean, good Lord, he's at least 6'8". I know he's 6'8". And I was told that by our family, and I've seen his sons who are all over 6'5", 6'6", close to 6'8" themselves, and even his sons weigh over 500 to 600 pounds. All of them weigh over 500 to 600 pounds. And I remember seeing my one of his sons actually, and him. I was in Detroit, Michigan at a restaurant, and one of his sons actually came in the restaurant, and he literally was so tall, and we're talking about a 7-foot door. He literally had to practically bend down to get into the 7-foot tall door.
All right.
He literally had to bend down just to get through the door. He couldn't walk through the door because he was too tall without bending down. So that's one thing. And then also I also seen my aunt, which is my father's sister, named Margie Jones. I actually seen her, and I don't have no explanation for this. I actually seen her eat a rat. She ate this rat after the concert party that my mother and father threw following the Jacksons and the Chi Lites, coming home party from their world tour concert, right? So we were at our home in St. Louis, and my aunt named Margie Jones actually was at this party with all guys, Marshall Thompson, my father, Eugene Records, Robert Lester, and my mother Jones, the owner of the record company, Nathan Trainapole. So we're all there. So and the Jacksons, Joe Jackson, and Tito, Randy, Jackie, no, not Randy, Tito, Moreland, Jackie, and Jermaine Jackson and Joe Jackson happened to be there, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing Marshall Thompson eating this rat, and my mom, when she was preparing the food, I overheard my mother and father talking, and my dad said, well, Margie's favorite food is rats. I swear, he said, her favorite food is rats, right? Telling my mother that as she was preparing food, because my mother said, well, what is Margie Jones's favorite food? I'll prepare it for her. I'll get it for her. And he says, well, Margie's favorite food is rats. Now, later on that day, as my mom prepared the food, I walked in the kitchen and I seen these big, I want to say 4 or 5 inch rats that were dead, laying on a platter, on a silver platter, baking platter. And my mother had cut the rats open and stuffed them with something in it, some type of food she put in there, some type of stuffing she stuffed the rats with. And then she was baking these rats for them. Later on that night, when they came to the party, I happened to see my aunt Margie, I should say, eating these rats like you would eat shrimp or lobster or crab.
Well, let me ask you something. Back in those times, if I'm not mistaken,
and she actually swallowed a live rat.
Oh, he was live.
She ate the dead rats that were cooked, and then she also ate this live rat that had to be 8 inches long, and it, and the rat was alive. It was moving around, and when she ate it, have you ever seen a snake or a lizard reptile detach their jaw in order to swallow big prey?
I used to own an exotic animal store. I used to sell snakes, monkeys, and all right. And I sold possums, which could look like a rat if you cook it, because they all got tails. And back in that time, wasn't possums a type of meal that people were eating in the South, or
Yes. Well, my aunt Margie, this lady detached her jaw like you would a reptile, like a reptile snake detaches its jaw to eat prey. She detached her own jaw, and it opened so wide. It opened, I mean, wider, like 5-6 inch wide, wider than a human being's mouth, 6 inch wider than a human being's mouth would open. And I couldn't understand. I actually got scared But she opened her mouth, her mouth up so wide and dropped, and she held this white rat that was at least 8 or 9 inches long. She held this white rat by his tail as she dropped the rat in her mouth, something like the movie The V's.
Yeah.
Something like you would see in a movie The V's. She opened her mouth so wide, and the rat was moving around trying to get out of her hand. And as she opened her mouth, she kind of swallowed this rat, and you could just see it moving around all in her throat, still alive, as it was trying to escape out of her mouth. It was just moving around in her throat. And I'm like, what in the world?
I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, I mean, yeah, we can say reptilians all over this, okay? And
yeah,
and I'm gonna go down this genealogy here. This is your uncle, your aunt, all on your dad's side, right?
On my dad's side, yes, sir.
Which is your dad, and what about you? You have a taste for rats? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I never seen anything like that in my life. But no, I haven't never eaten a rat ever. But let me tell you this. I also want to say this, and I was researching this, and it brought back memories. In the entertainment industry, there's something called Satanism in the entertainment industry.
We're gonna and yeah, just hold that.
Well,
oh my God.
Yeah, I want to kind of explain it. You know what I mean? Because if people are not going to be able to understand. So, well, what I want to say is this: is that I witnessed my father and the Chi Lites and the Jacksons. Not only did they eat rats, they also ate dead babies that night.
Okay, pause right there.
It's in my book, Inside the Chi Lites Music. Should I explain it?
In fact, let me put. Just hang on. I just have an outline I was trying to get so we can get, but and I understand time and all of that. And there's this book right there on top of the screen, the description, or there's a link in the description of the video if y'all want to order the book. And yes, I'm going to have him to talk about eating babies too, y'all. I didn't want to get too far ahead of a few other things that we talked about. The uncle, we went through that, the giant, but what I will do though, because of me being who I am and you being here, and if you do go wherever you're going to go from here on out, we're just going to follow along with you and we'll ask questions because there's so much. So it is your story, and I apologize for that.
No. I just want to say it where people can understand it. You know, it has to, because if I just say, "Hey, I seen my family eating babies," they're not going to understand what I'm talking about.
So, they're going to get to that.
You got to explain it.
And most of these people heard your audio, so they're pretty much astute with, and they probably got questions from that, and that's where we'll do a Q&A later. All right, so let's back, and then we're going to get into satanic stuff, but I want to go back to not just this rat eating things. And you said you saw the Jacksons and they were there in this menu of rats and all of this stuff. What happened first to all of these artifacts, this holographic material, who has them? Because if it's so many of them, and
well, shortly after. Oh, did you want to ask me some more information?
Yep, and then I'm gonna ask a couple of I have researchers, like I say, Nicole. We have nursing and paranormal. We got a couple of people that research, and before we start getting into this real Jackson stuff and all this stuff, I want to throw a little background stuff out there, and you have an opportunity to answer that as well. But yeah, go start there. Where is all this stuff?
Okay, so this is what happened after my mom took me and my sisters and our father over her mother's house in St. Louis, Missouri. When my mother took us over there, she brought like 3 of the devices, including the extraterrestrial holographic machine. And what she did was she was so excited that she had this technology till she wanted to actually show her mother. My mother's about 32 at the time. And she wanted to show her mother and her sisters and brothers what my father had just given her, right? So what happened? what happened is my mother decided to show my grandmother this extraterrestrial holographic machine. So she said, Mom, Credell gave me this device and I wanted to show it to you. So then my grandmother says, well, what is that? And it was a triangular shaped metallic object, which was about 2.5 feet high and about 1.5 feet long, or in width, 1.5 feet in width and 2.5 feet in height. And it was shaped like a pyramid. It was an extraterrestrial metallic object, triangular shaped like a pyramid. And it was metallic, like metal, gray metal. So when my mom touched the object on the side of it, it shot out these holographic extraterrestrial holograms. And the holograms that shot out of there was what you would call a interactive holographic entity. So when they shot out, what appeared was a gray extraterrestrial, and it shot out landscapes while this gray extraterrestrial stood next to it, explaining what the landscapes were. So it actually shot out an extraterrestrial by entity EBT, which had dark, big, giant black eyes and a typical extraterrestrial gray. And then this gray actually began to talk in extraterrestrial language. And then it tried to communicate with us in every language. It started searching every language in the world until it heard my mother and grandmother scream. And then when my grandmother said, what is that? What is that? It quickly registered, they're speaking English. So this extraterrestrial went from talking in extraterrestrial language and international languages all the way into talking in English in the snap of a finger after it heard my grandmother and mother. So it began to try to communicate with us in English. And as it began to explain the landscapes, the actual extraterrestrial holographic machine would actually show the landscapes of different planets and worlds on different planets, on solar systems, and the actual landscapes, the trees, the waters, the oceans, the animals, and even the extraterrestrial entities and humanoid creatures that lived on those planets. All of that information, the mapping systems of universes, galaxies, and solar systems, and the closest planets to Earth with life and water on it was in this holographic machine. So it was a machine that took and registered and geographically mapped out different worlds and planets and stored all of the data of the mapping of different worlds, planets, solar systems, and landscapes on different worlds. And it manifested these into holographic objects that were interactive. And not only interactive, we literally could touch these things. I remember walking up and touching this extraterrestrial hologram. And it felt like...
Now, how often did y'all use this machine?
I only seen that activated one time. That one time. And shortly after that activation, the deactivation, when my mother took her hand off of the object, because when she took her hand off of the object, that's when you seen the holographics entities just vanished. Vanished. And then within 5 minutes or so, we had U.S. Air Force generals banging our door down with like 3 men in black, which looked to be CIA agents. 3 men in black, I believe it was 2 on the right and 1 on the left next to him. And he showed his Air Force badge. He showed his Air Force general badge to us.
Who did he show it to? All of you?
He showed it to my mother, who answered the door, and because my grandmother said, "Who are you? You're not coming in here. You're not coming here." And when he banged the door down, my mom said, "Who's at the door?" So he says, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Air Force. So she's walking to the door, opening the door. He's like, you better open the door up, U.S. Air Force. So she opens the door, and you know, he's like, we know you activated the extraterrestrial device. We know you have the extraterrestrial device, and we know that you activated it in here, and we want that device right now. U.S. Air Force. U.S. Air Force. And he showed his ID, which was a U.S. general's ID. And these three men in black was with him. And I want to tell you this, they looked very strange. They did not look like normal people. Let me tell you that. They, like, their skin, these people who were in black, their skin was chalky gray, almost kind of like a robot, almost like a mannequin.
All right, so
like a mannequin.
All right, I have a question, and let me make sure I do what I need to do here. For those who watching the show, if you have a specific short question and you need to get my attention, you're welcome to donate to the show. The link is right there at the bottom of the Cash App there. Get my attention to get your question going. And if you're finding any value tonight, you know that's how we support what we do. It is going across the screen there to support what we're doing. And then we're going to support him as a community and get that book too. So, all right. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a TV buff. You know, I watch a lot of these movies. And the reference of because we've talked before, so, and I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
You mentioned that they were in this black vehicle. You're
right, the black Lincoln.
Yeah, Black Lincoln, and now you're given the description of the Men in Black, but the story of the Men in Black that we've seen on TV is that they wasn't human. They looked pale. They didn't really, and they're tall.
Yes, very pale.
And you're giving that description.
Right. Well, they had, they were very chalky. Like their skin looked to be plastic, almost like.
All right. First of all, let me give a shout out to Netta. She says she just purchased your book. All right, so cool.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Netta. I hope you enjoy that book.
Yeah.
I'm working on another book now on this.
Yeah. That's good. And so where I'm going with this, what do we want to say to this audience? There are some out there that may be a little skeptic of this, thinking he's speaking from what he saw in the movie versus reality.
No.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, my whole family was in the house. I mean, my grandmother was there, my sisters were there, my uncles were there, my aunts were there, my mother was there, my father was there. And when the U.S. Air Force general came down there, he had a briefcase with him. And he pulled out what you call a disclosure confidence agreement. Mm-hmm. And he told mother and father that they had to sign this confidentiality agreement, which stated that they could never, ever disclose anything that the Air Force did and anything that they did at all. And everyone in that house had to sign a confidentiality privacy disclosure with the U.S. Air Force.
Okay. All right. So
my mother gave him that object, but she did not give him the. She did not give him that.
All right. For some reason, we're getting a bad connection from you. Let me see. Because you have moved around. You're in the same place, right?
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, like she didn't give him the metallic bore object. She held out on that, and she didn't give him that panel that I explained to you about, that extraterrestrial metallic planet panel with the alien handprints on it, which operated the guidance systems, whether that be on a spaceship or whether that be some sort of mechanism, door, or some type of device that used fingerprint recognition, handprint recognition. So she kept that, and she kept the bore, the extraterrestrial bore. And the last time I seen that was on that documentary involving, like, I think it was an extraterrestrial documentary involving UFOs and extraterrestrial artifacts. This is the last time I seen that.
All right,
but as far as, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. before we now dig into some of this deep stuff,
Uh-huh.
my researchers found several, because they're going to do their due diligence for me. So they found a couple of articles of something about some court cases, a couple of other little things. Then they found
court cases on me?
on you. Yeah. And
Okay.
if that is you, if you want to, and what difference does that really make, except for the fact that the paternity one that came up, I think, on paternity court, right?
Oh, I was on Fraternity Court TV show. Yeah, that happened, and this has a lot to do with just the way that my father died, the exploitation that led to his death.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, his family had a lot to do with it. It's very complicated, but I'm gonna try to explain it so it can be understood. First of all, the Bible talks about, I want to go into the Bible with this. The Bible talks about the fallen angels, which were known as the Anunnaki,
Mm-hmm.
and the Nephilim were considered the children of the fallen angels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is to my knowledge that, as I described my uncle being a giant size, as I described my aunt eating those rats, okay, to my knowledge, that my father's sisters and brothers' behavior had a lot to do with evil and extraterrestrial activities. And it's the only way I can start it off so that people can understand what I'm trying to get to is that in the music and entertainment industry, Satanism rules in that industry. And the reason why people or get themselves involved in Satanism in the entertainment industry is because one of two things. They want power and they want money. They believe in summoning these demon entities, which they believe gives them power. Okay, so they get involved in Satanism because they believe that summoning these aliens that we know of, which are fallen angels, will give them power and money. That's what they think. They think it'll give them power and money. Okay, so a lot of people get tricked into selling their souls for money and power in the music and entertainment industry with the promise of becoming famous, with the promise of becoming rich and famous. So that's first of all that we have to understand that first. Then the second aspect of this is that Satanism leads a lot of people into extraterrestrial involvement. So a lot of people who have
now, where are you located right now? Where are you right now? Because everybody's chatting.
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
No, I'm saying, are you
right?
So you see all those people or something? I don't know.
I'm in a convention center. This is a convention center. Yeah. So what I want to explain to you is this. We have to take this slow so that this is not the whole entire story is very complicated. So it has to be done in a way that is understandable so it doesn't confuse people.
That's cool. I'm
okay. So we're going to start off with this. My father's a legendary musician for the Chi Lites. The Chi Lites and many other entertainers that are in the music industry had to sign contractual agreements with their record companies involving blood oath contracts. And in these blood oath contracts, they are trying to summon cabal, or they're trying to summon Satan, which they believe to be, a lot of Satanists believe that Satan came to help human beings. They came to give us knowledge, whereas versus God, who didn't want us to have the knowledge that we have today, and he wanted us to be subservient to him. So in the music and entertainment industry and Satanism, they believe that Satan came to help free us and give us knowledge and wisdom, whereas God wanted to suppress us and give us slavery, etc., and wanted us to be his servants. I don't believe that because I'm not a Satanist. I'm a Christian. So that's first of all. And so the Chi Lites, like the Jacksons, got involved with Satanism, but come to find out, a lot of these people who are involved in this, it is a bloodline type of a thing. People who are involved in this typically have a bloodline that is involved in Satanism. And okay, so the people who are in Satanism, some of them long time ago, we're talking about maybe hundreds of years ago or so, like this, maybe even thousands of years ago, their ancestors interbred with these extraterrestrial entities thinking that they were going to get power and money. And so we hear stories like Prince Charles, whose wife, Princess Diane, actually gave a statement stating that she one time seen him basically shapeshift into a reptilian. And we've heard many stories of people shapeshifting in Hollywood. Justin Bieber had potentially, or some people stated that Justin Bieber had shapeshift. He shapeshifted right in front of his own fans, or at least that's what they claim. We hear people like Tom Cruise's ex-wife who said she walked in the shower and seen Tom Cruise shapeshift into a reptilian. So I want to say this, that a lot of the entertainers and a lot of the elites have interbred with these extraterrestrials. And then going back into my family, a problem with this is that they have evil traits. The fallen angels were not good people. They were very, very wicked and very evil. And remember, Satan was kicked out of heaven because he wanted to take over heaven. So these people have the same traits as Satan.
Now, having said that, if my memory serves me, you signed a blood oath as well, right?
Well, I was only 6 years old, so yeah, but I couldn't even write my name. I had to just mark an X there. I couldn't even write my name. I didn't know how to write at that time.
Okay. And having said that, let's go into a little bit of this. This may be a little traumatic, a little bit. You once mentioned that you walked in on a horrific moment. So now that we established the fact that the Jacksons, this phone, wait a minute. There you go. The Jacksons, your family were pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just we're going to get right now. So I think right now, everybody should put their children to bed, what they're about to
No,
hear.
we're not close. Oh, you mean were the Jacksons close with my family? Oh, yes, they were.
Yeah. So
yeah, very close.
I want to give a disclaimer for any of you. If you got children right now, it is time. Put them to bed and or not here. They don't even have to go to sleep, but they just can't stay here on what we're about to go into right now. So, all right. I mean, I got plenty of notes, but let's just start with the satanic rituals. And it is correct that you've had, a lot of people tie the music industry, the movie industry in this when it comes down to all of these things. But now let's go into this part where you have physically been a part, has also seen some things. Let's go into this from this alien ritual side of stuff. What's happening at your house?
Okay, well, the purpose of the extraterrestrial interaction with human beings is that they are manifestations that are used, fallen angels, if you will, mm-hmm. that have been used to try to interbreed, to try to crossbreed human beings with fallen angels. Okay, mm-hmm. So there's different passages in the Bible where you have women like, let's say, Mary, Jesus Christ's mother, being taken and inseminated, and no one knows how she got pregnant, but now she's all of a sudden pregnant with Jesus Christ. So even in the Bible, you have had situations where women have always described, and men, of being used in some form of sexual or I should say genetic experimentation, where they are being used to crossbreed with some creature. Even in the Bible, where it talks about Mary having God's child, that's kind of a crossbreeding of a human being with a god. So I want to say that. So as far as the question that you're asking me is, how does the Satanism tie into the extraterrestrials?
Absolutely.
Well, a lot of the people who are involved in Satanism wind up becoming abductees. They wind up becoming abductees, extraterrestrial abductees, and their children wind up, even years in their being abducted, their grandchildren wind up being abducted, and it continues throughout the bloodline of these people who are interacting entity demons, that the Bible calls them demons or fallen angels. And so it ties in because a lot of the people who, for instance, I've heard stories, and I felt this myself after being abducted by extraterrestrials myself. I felt some form of a connection with these creatures. And I did not know why I felt some form of connection with them, but most people who were abducted by aliens have had that feeling. But what I want to show people is that the satanic world is 100% connected into extraterrestrial abductions and the world of extraterrestrial interaction on Earth.
Okay, and
because these creatures are they're interdimensionary creatures.
All right, so
and
it'll be safe to tell you that we have a pretty good educated audience. I think they're on board with the possibilities of all of this. I think that what most of them have not heard a first-hand account of some of these things actually happen, which is yours, is in your book, as some of the details.
Inside the Chi Lite's music.
Yeah. So let me open into the conversation. You witnessed the fact that your sister was going through a ritual. Take us to that moment.
Let me explain it this way.
Okay.
I nor my sister nor any of us, maybe my father and mother knew, but maybe the Chi Lites knew, but I did not know that Satanism had anything to do with extraterrestrials at all. So I was just a 6-year-old child, just happened to be walking down the steps and hearing my sister scream out for my mother's help. I didn't know what was going on, so I'm walking down the steps trying to find my sister. And this was during the practice rehearsal of the Jacksons and the Chi Lites. So what happened as I walked down the steps looking for my sister, I happened to see all 4 of the Chi Lites, including my father, standing there in a line, and all of and they had red robes on, red satanic robes on. And I seen the Jackson 5 who had black satanic robes on. Didn't even know why they had these robes on, but I'm still hearing my sister scream for help. So I'm like, Trinell, where are you? So I'm happen to walk in the room and see Marshall Thompson, the lead singer of the Chi Lites, bending my sister over and while Joe Jackson is Michael Jackson's father is holding my sister down. Let me get this camera right. Michael Jackson's father is holding my sister down by her shoulders as Marshall Thompson rapes her from behind. And she's only 7 years old. So I'm trying to stop them, right? Now, the record company owner named Nathan Trainapole was there standing next to them while this was happening, with a satanic priest who was standing next to him. Nathan is a white Jewish man, and the satanic priest that did the ceremony was a white man. Okay. So I see, as I try to fight them off of my sister, Joe Jackson Marshall pushes me away, and Joe Jackson gets in the place of where Marshall Thompson was. Actually, he switches position with Marshall, and Marshall's like raping her from the front and behind, and then while Joe Jackson is holding her down by her shoulders. I'm trying to stop it from happening, but I'm only 6 years old. Marshall gets done, moves over on the side, and Joe Jackson, which is holding her shoulders down, gets up, and Marshall moves in the position of Joe Jackson and continues to hold her shoulders down after Joe Jackson let her go. Then Joe Jackson walks around, and then he begins to rape her. Now, she's only 7 years old. She's only 7 years old. So I'm trying to stop the rape. I'm only 6 years old. I'm fighting them all the way out until they pick up my sister, you know, kind of like they picked my sister up, you know, and led her into the entertainment room, which had a bar, pool table, and that's where they were practicing at because they had the drum sets, the guitars, and everything. And they happened to have an altar in that room. I don't know how they got this altar in there, but he places her on the altar. And now I see the Chi Lites and the Jacksons are lined up in like a line, in a straight line, with their red robes and black robes on. And they're, you know, the Jacksons are in front of the Chi Lites. And now they're doing a train on her one by one by one. I run out. I'm trying to stop them. They grab me. And now they're raping me. They rape me. And so now I'm still screaming and hollering. I'm screaming for my mom, like, get off me, get off me. And they're done raping her. I see the record company owner named Nathan Trainapole come out with I think with a baby. And it might have been Marshall with the baby, because Joe Jackson, I believe, was the one who held my sister and brought her out. You know, he's like picking her up, holding her while she's unconscious and putting her on the, you know, on the actual tables to be raped, right? So when they're done, I'm trying to stop them from doing it. I get raped myself, and I see the record company owner named Nathan Trainapole. He's a Jewish record company owner, and I see a white Caucasian satanic priest dressed in black. They both are dressed in black robes. They come out. Nathan comes out holding a baby, and the baby's screaming to the top of his lungs. He passes the baby over to Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson's holding the baby right on over this altar, and he puts the baby on. He lifts my sister up. They took her and put her in, I think it was like a satanic store, like a satanic, I want to say a satanic pentagram in white chalk that they drew it on the floor. A big satanic pentagram witch's store on the floor. They take her, put her on this right in the center of this satanic pentagram store. She's naked, and they just put this little 7-year-old girl in the middle of the store. Now, at the same time, while they're doing that, they walk after that. Nathan comes out with this baby in his hand, and from what I recollect, Marshall Thompson took this dagger. And it might have been Joe Jackson, but they took this dagger and they slit the baby's neck. Literally, they literally slit this baby's neck from ear to ear. This was a Caucasian baby too, a white baby. And then they pull out this golden goblin type cup, and the baby's just screaming, and the blood is running out the baby's throat. It's dying. It's bleeding to death, right? So they collect the blood and put in this golden goblin with jewels, encrusted with jewels. And the dagger had jewels on it, and it was golden with jewels. And then they begin to pass it. They still not line. They get back in the line, and they're drinking the actual blood from this child that they just murdered. They bring out another child. Me and my sister, they put this dagger that they used to kill that child in my hand, and tried to get me to because I'm only 6 years old. They tried to get me to slit the child's throat by putting the dagger in my hand and holding my hand at the baby's neck like this. And they're holding my hand with this dagger in it, trying to make me slice the baby's neck, right? So I'm like, I'm not doing that. I said, and now I was only 6. I'm like, no, you're not going to make me do that. You're not going to make me do it. So my sister, they take it out and they try to get her to do it. And she's like, no. So we refuse to do it. Next thing I know, as I said, they sliced the child's throat and drunk the blood. And I'm screaming and hollering. I'm trying, and I wind up somehow getting out of that room, walking up the steps, trying to find my mother for help. I was looking for my mother. She's in the kitchen, and I'm looking at babies, at least 4 or 5 babies that are on the kitchen counter that the Jackson 5 had already murdered.
Now, let's go with Jackson 5 real quick. Give me names.
I didn't hear you. You said the names?
Give me actual names. You saying Jackson
Okay,
5.
I seen
8 of them.
Tito Jackson.
Yeah.
Tito Jackson. I seen Tito Jackson, Marlon Jackson. I seen Jackie Jackson. I seen Joe Jackson, and then I seen Jermaine Jackson. And I'm gonna tell you the ones that stood in my mind the very most was Jermaine Jackson.
Why?
Because he and Joe Jackson and Marshall were they were more vicious with their rape.
Wow.
They were the more vicious ones. Right? Now, Marlon Jackson, Jackie Jackson, and Tito Jackson. Tito stood in my mind. Joe Jackson stood in my mind. And Jermaine Jackson stood in my mind. These 3 did.
So Michael was.
Although Michael came there, but I do remember his presence, but I don't remember what he actually did because I was only 6. I remember him standing there, but I don't remember what he did.
All right. So I got another question for you. And I have to ask, and just to give me what is your mental state today about all of this?
There's nothing. My mental state is completely okay. This is why I want to give you people the understanding that you can't, with a story like this, you can't just go from here to here to here. You have to explain to people why this happened.
Right.
Who are these people that did this? Why did they do this? I sent a link to you involving satanic rituals. Okay. So a lot of people are not aware and don't know much about what satanic rituals or how it works or why they use it or what's the procedure in doing satanic ritual. But a lot of people who have been involved with satanic ritual abuse describe the very same thing. There's nothing that I've said that you can't look up yourself with somebody that has nothing to do with me on the internet, and they will describe in full detail the very things that I just described. There's nothing, and I don't know them from Adam.
Yeah, I would like to say
there's a lady named Mary Knight. Mary Knight, I think is her name. She describes the very same satanic ritual abuse. And that is not a mystery that people in the music industry worship the devil. I mean, they came on the Grammy Awards in broad daylight showing you that they worship Satan.
Yeah, I want to, for you, this is for you. And I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you.
I wish I did make this up. I really did. But this is, I tell you what, they keep so much control over people till nobody in the families of legendary entertainers want to ever come out of it.
What would happen if the Jacksons saw this video or somebody sent it to them? And because you're naming names, you're not just.
Yeah, I'm naming names. I'll take a lie detector test. You know what I would tell them? And I swear to God, I will tell them I will take a lie detector test in their face.
Man,
and if I lie, you can arrest me. They can sue me. I'll voluntarily check myself. I'll wager something to them. If I fail a lie detector test, I will voluntarily check myself at a mental institution. I will do it.
You know what? Here's the deal. You know, soon my show will be big enough where we will have funds like that. We will fly you in. We'll hire some lie detector people, film it, and go all deep. But at this point, you know, my audience will give me contributions. And as of tonight, good Lord, I have so many of none. I'm just kidding. But no, they're inundated in your story right now. That's good. Here's what I want to say for you. I got someone else that watched your or heard the audio that we did the other day. I end up getting an email from a lady who is approximately 74 years old. She describes a story. She says, I want to give a story. So she started talking about a hotel. She really couldn't remember the name, but she also mentioned that she had a friend that was living with her for quite some time, a little short period of time. And she said that back then, her and the friends was Chi Lite groupies. They were groupies. They loved the group. And so with her age and now all that, that probably sent her up. She went on to the email and she said that her friend at some point was sneaking out the window a few times a night to go see someone. And she would look outside and there would be a black limousine picked up her friend. She said,
a black limousine. They love black limousine.
She later on said that she found out it was the Chi Lites picking her up. She said later on that the friend began to coerce her to attend wherever this hotel event after party or wherever at night. She ended up going, and she said when she arrived, she felt this real spiritual uneasiness. And as though that they were doing some type of ritual. She said, I was trying to reach her tonight and maybe could get her on here, but I'm going to do a phone interview with her sometime during the week and I'll put it up. So she said that she also noted that she started getting interviewed herself by someone in particular with the Chi Lites. And she just kept hearing voices in her own head, so to speak. I don't know if it's a voice, but telling her this is not where you need to be. You know, like somebody was trying to warn her. And when she wouldn't answer the questions the way they was going, they got frustrated and kind of almost like you're not it. Get the hell up out of here. Like they didn't want her around this ritual, right? So she kind of said, per your story, she said, I do believe that some of the things he was saying was correct because of this experience and everything else. So I wanted to throw that out to you so that you know that there have been, and I got another email, I think today, I saw the title of it and I just hadn't read it, but it was according to some stuff. So I would say to you that, and then we've all heard of these things, these satanic rituals, things that are, just recently, if it wasn't in the last 24 to 48 hours, there were someone that called out Beyonce and God, what is this actress name or singer or whoever? And she was just talking about Beyonce. She was real frustrated that Beyonce is doing these satanic things within her music, within her shows, within like whatever. And this lady is well known. I just went blank, but she just called her out recently, just about 2 days ago, about this and said that she doesn't watch her stuff because of some of this thing. So, all right, that's that part when I get to this. And I remember you also saying that your uncle, the giant, did he kind of, I think, violated your sister as well? Was it more of a ritual type or what was going on here? Or did I get that wrong?
Well, let me get into this. And I'm glad you brought Beyonce up because I'm going to tell you this. Beyonce, as we know, sung in the Destiny Child group. She never was involved in satanic rituals to the level that she is today until after she met the Chi Lites.
Oh, she met them. When Beyonce met them?
Right. Okay. When she did the song Got Me Going So Crazy Right Now. Okay. She actually met Eugene Records, Marshall Thompson, and the Chi Lites.
Oh, shit.
Right. Right. She was introduced to the Chi Lites when she remade my father's song, Are You My Woman? And they used the back soundtrack of it to make Got Me Going So Crazy Right Now. She was introduced to Eugene Records, Marshall Thompson, Robert Lester. Okay. It wasn't until her introduction into the Chi Lites and Jay-Z, both of them, it wasn't until either one of them's introduction into the Chi Lites, okay, till they began to start worshiping Satan. Their satanic activity in the music industry came from the influence of the Chi Lites. No question about that. Because you have never seen Beyonce ever involving or showing specific satanic symbolizations and the satanic symbols that she uses, the satanic platform that she has, the way that she conducts her videos, and the satanic signs that she uses and so forth, and her philosophy itself comes from Satanism. So, which she believes that in Satanism, they believe that they can be their own God. See, okay. Okay, so both of them, if you notice that Jay-Z calls himself Jehovah. Now, Jay-Z wasn't calling himself Jehovah.
That's how he do it. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Right. That's the all-seeing eye of Horus that you threw up.
Oh, okay.
But it's this. Yeah. But it's this. Neither one of them had anything to do with the level of Satanism that they're involved in now until they met the Chi Lites. And it wasn't until after the meeting with the Chi Lites, the interaction with Eugene Records, the interaction with Marshall Thompson, so they initiate them into the satanic world of the music industry itself. They were actually initiated through the contact of remaking the Chi Lites.
I will say this, that I ended up talking to my agent today. We were having a conversation about a project.
Okay.
And I brought up your email to him.
Okay.
And he was talking about something else, some big deal. And we was talking, and I brought it up, and that was it. So he was like, "Oh yeah," I told him. And then I went to start talking about the project. He stopped me. He said, whoa. Before we go further, let me go back to this. He said, "Roderick, you wouldn't believe this." He said, in the last week or so, there's been a lot of, because he represents 22 of the top UFO people in the field. So he's there. He says, "You wouldn't believe this, but in the last couple of weeks," he said, "there's been a lot of back talk of satanic stuff within aliens." He said, "I was floored that you just brought that up to me about this guy." He was talking about you. And then he says, "Well, the CIA there's things out right now saying that the CIA have been tampering or connections with entities, and were satanic entities, alien, whatever." And he said that there are a lot of conversations coming up about that they have opened up this gateway or something. But he talked about it today. Right. And I'm really shocked, and pretty much. So I'm just giving you a little more things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they sacrifice children. They believe that it's going to open up a gateway into the interdimensional gateway, which leads to other dimensions, whether that be, other worlds, other planets, other solar systems, other universes. They believe the sacrificial sacrifice of humans and animals, but primarily human blood, babies and human beings, will give them the manifestation of being able to open up these portals, which will allow these extraterrestrials that we know of as extraterrestrials, grays and aliens. It gives them a way into the physical plane of the dimension that we live in, the third and fourth dimension. Because in the Bible, it talks about God banishing Satan to a place called Tartarus, which is hell, is what we know of as hell underneath the earth, or in another dimensional plane outside of the third and fourth dimension that we live in. So it's all about ever since Satan and his fallen angels allegedly got put in this torturous dimension, they've been trying to come out. So these spaceships are what we call interdimensionary UFOs. They're interdimensionary objects because one thing, they can be flying in the air and just vanish. They can fly through solid objects like planes, trees, and just fly straight through solid objects. And a lot of people that have been abducted by extraterrestrials say that they have been pulled out of buildings and houses, and even, you know, brought through whole entire walls and doors and windows. Their body has been literally been able to walk through doors, walls, and windows. So these creatures have a power of interdimensionary capability. And so I believe that they may be trapped in some form of dimension that they're trying to get out. So we have, so for instance, you have, I think it's called this portal that was opened up over in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called, I don't want to, CERN. Have you heard of CERN?
Mm-hmm.
So CERN over there in Europe and in the United States, they have been trying to create these interdimensionary portals where they can actually bring these extraterrestrial entities out and enter our third and fourth dimension. So see, so these creatures, okay, so let me give you the example. Princess Diana also stated that Prince Charles would kind of shapeshift primarily during his sleep, at nighttime, during his sleep. She would be laying next to Prince Charles and she would notice him shapeshifting into a reptilian, right? So this is a reason why these creatures, these interdimensionary hybrids that have interbred with human beings, they have to drink human blood. So that's where we get the vampire stories and stuff, like that. Blood is essential to their capability of being able to live in the third and fourth dimension that we're on, the realm that we're on. After the satanic ritual was done at our house, we had all type of what you call phenomenal activity, where we would see spirits and entities walk through our walls. And I didn't put this one in my book, but I literally was one time I was pulled through the closet by one of these alien entities when I was about, I don't know, 7 or 8. I was pulled through the wall, and my mother, through the wall in the closet. So it pulled me through the closet into the wall, and my mother had to get me out of there. Yes, sir.
All right. So
and after that, here's another thing. After the satanic ritual happened, right? My mother went into the bathroom and she turned on the sink in the bathroom, and the sink water turned into blood. So yeah, into blood. And she ran into the kitchen and then turned the water on in the kitchen, and it turned into blood. So she turns the shower on and it turned into blood.
Now, how old were you then?
So I was about 7 or 8. And right. the whole entire tub filled with blood. The whole entire tub filled with blood. It was the day after that, my mother decided to get a priest and a minister to how shall I say this, to bless the house. They had to do an exorcism of the house itself. And when we left the house, they tore the house down. The neighbors complained. Our neighbors complained. Yeah, it does. But that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened after this satanic ritual. My mother was walking through the kitchen one night, and I was in the kitchen too with my sisters. And she walks through the kitchen, and we're sitting at the table, and the knives, forks, and utensils rose up off the table in the middle of the air, and the utensils went directly at my mother. it aimed directly at her, and the knives that were on the table went directly at her. And if she had not moved, she would have gotten killed there. Whatever those entities were, they wanted to kill her. They wanted to do something to her.
All right.
I don't know why they want. Maybe because she was involved in the satanic ritual.
All right. So here's what I'm going to ask you.
And they were eating children as well. It's in my book, Inside the Chi Lite's Music.
All right. And so that y'all know, the book is in the description of this video. There's a picture of it up here. So when you get to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or any other of those places, you're
Apple. It's on Apple. They can go to the library and get it for free, as a matter of fact, if they would like. Yeah. So it's not just about making money, because you can get this book for free at the library.
Well, I just want them to know that, you know, the lights, you know, the hair, the smile, yeah, it all costs a little something. So I get donations. I ask for them like it's a church at this bad boy. You better believe it. So, but anyway,
what's wrong with that?
Hey man, because we got to do it. It's a lot of work doing what we do and everything else. And so, and with that being said, if any of you find any,
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah, please donate to him, because he's doing a lot of research that I'm gonna tell you the truth, that us African Americans and a lot of people need to know this. It was kept from Black people, and I'm sad that other celebrities don't just come out and say this. But you have people like, I want to say, was it Nicki Minaj who came out and said that she thought she was cloned, Cordio Beast. Recently, you have celebrities who are saying that they.
We just talk about it on the slide a little bit, that he ain't trying to be all into all of that stuff. So it's kind of.
And David Chappelle, also his own cousin, came out and said that she thought he was cloned. His own cousin, David Chappelle, the comedian's own cousin, came out and said she thought he was cloned. Now, all of these people can't be crazy. You know,
I think there's a lot of coincidence in those things when it comes down to that. But here's what I want to do. You know, again, you know, you have a lot of stories. I mean, a lot. And I'm glad my channel is called High Strangeness, right? Because there's a lot of stuff you're seeing, you know, from the alien side to the stories, to the blood, to the babies, eating babies and all that, you know.
Yeah.
So you're coming out with some major stuff, and of course,
it affected me and my sisters for all of our lives.
I'm ask about your sister. What is happening with her today as well? You know, because she's not.
Well, like I say, it tore our whole family up. Not just her; it tore our whole entire family up. She actually became a sex stripper at the age of around 16 to in her 20s. I must say 21, 22. She eventually she worked in Las Vegas as a talent manager for the local entertainment acts in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny she decided to work in Las Vegas, because a lot of the corruption comes from Las Vegas. Just to let you know where Lockie's going. Okay. And a lot of the corruption comes out of Las Vegas.
Are they getting ready? You got to get ready to go. They're closing up.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, a lot of people say that the devil's playground is Las Vegas. I'm just throwing that out there, but a lot of people, it's kind of a coincidence. And then Marshall Thompson moves to Las Vegas. Following the FBI investigation that I mentioned in my book, Inside.
Do we have time? Yeah, that I meant. Do we have time to take some questions too, or where are you getting ready to go now? You got to go outside. Where are you?
I'm fine. You can. I can answer any questions. I'm fine.
Okay. I'm thinking about opening up my call-in line.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm still trying to get some work done here on that, and I may do that. So then you can take some questions live. But I got to figure out a way to make this work the right way here.
Right.
Just give me a second
so,
here.
like I was saying, I mean, Satan controls the entertainment industry. So it's no, it's not really a coincidence that she decides to move to Las Vegas, and really a lot of them moved to Las Vegas, and because they can protect the satanic world in the Hollywood, they protect one another. So a lot of the stories never get told because of the fact that they have the capability of protecting one another. Somebody gets caught, somebody's going to cover for them. It's the way it is.
No, I'm with you.
But anyway, she moves to Las Vegas, and Sin City. They call it Sin City for a reason. And my mother became a devoted Christian after that. Because my aunt and I'm gonna tell you what broke our family up that you were asking. My aunt Regina winded up after my dad established trust funds due to the IRS and FBI's investigation of Roderick records. It was suggested that my father open trust funds up and kind of put the money in those trust funds in order to protect it from the IRS seizure. So what happened is the 3.5 million was divided up between me and my two sisters and some of his other family, children.
Now, there was a report that said he had 53 kids. Was that him?
No, and I'll tell you what happened. My father, and they always make up a number, 32, 52. What happened is after my father opened these trust funds, that was $3.5 million in total. I was given a certain amount. My sisters were given a certain amount of that trust fund. I was given 300,000. My sisters were given 250,000 each, which was $850,000. Just that, and some was put up for his ex-wife's children, which was named Michael and Irvin and Dwayne. Now, and the illegitimate daughter that played like she never got anything, she was given a trust fund herself, and she knows that she actually told me she was given a trust fund. Then when we got on the show, she says, "He never gave us nothing." Totally lying. So, but the 52 kids stuff came from the fact that my father's brothers and sisters decided to try to declare my father as schizophrenic because they thought that would give them the ability to take over the trusteeship that he controlled over all of his children. So when he put the $3.5 million up in trust funds, he and my mother were the only solitary trustees. His sisters and brothers named Margie Jones and Kenneth and Marshall Thompson that I was telling you about that raped my sister, they decided, along with my aunt Regina, they decided to basically take over the trusteeship by declaring him mentally incompetent. So Marshall paid my aunt Regina and his sister to give my father LSD and PCP. Then after that was administered, I caught them doing it too. I seen her pulling the LSD and PCP out of a glass case, a glass bottle, like an oil bottle, and she put it an oil incense bottle, one of those clear little cologne bottles that you would buy at a mall or something. It had clear substance of LSD and PCP in it. She poured it in his drink, and then they called the ambulance and said he was going into a psychotic schizophrenic episode, right?
Right.
So, and so then I seen Marshall, as me and my mother went to the hospital with my sisters, I seen Marshall give the psychiatrist that was supposedly treating my father $50,000 in a brown paper bag, and told that psychiatrist, I want him to be declared schizophrenic.
Wow. Okay.
And gave him the bag of money. And he shook his hand and said, "Okay, that's fine." Literally.
Right. Here's what we're gonna do.
So let me explain. So these kids that you're hearing about are his nieces and nephews.
Oh, not 53 biological kids. Okay.
No, they're not his physical biological kids, but they may look similar to him because they are his sisters and brothers' children. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So they wanted to declare him mentally incompetent to take over the trust funds. And then after they tried to do that, they used their own children to pretend like they were his biological children because they're his brothers and sisters. They said, well, we got the same DNA anyway. We're his brothers and sisters, so our children are going to have the same DNA as him.
Okay.
So here's the example, right? Here's the example of what I'm talking about, right? There's a guy, I don't know if you've seen the fraternity court TV show, Second Appearance, with my half sister and brother on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy on there named Triplet that looks nothing like my father, looks nothing like him, nothing, not even a skin color. This guy obviously is a nephew. He could not be a direct son of my father and look the way he looks. Okay, so, but by the fact of him being a nephew, he still has some of the DNA of my dad because my father's sister and brother, that they're his children. He's the children of one of my father's sisters or brothers. He comes on fraternity court TV and pretends like I'm the illegitimate son of Credell Jones. And what kills me about it is Lauren Lake knows this man is not his child. She knew that. I told Lauren Lake, I said, why don't you do an investigation on them? I said, why don't you do an investigation on them? What we need to have is what you call a investigation, a genealogical investigation on who this man is. Who is his mother? We don't know who his mother is. Who is his mother? Who is his grandmother? And I guarantee you, if we were to track down his mother and his grandmother, they're going to be the cousins of my father or either his sisters and brothers.
Okay, here is what we're going to do. Just hang on with me for a second, okay?
So I challenged them to do a geological investigation on that man.
And I didn't mean to set anything off if I did.
No.
Yeah.
But I want to clarify that. That's his sisters and brothers and cousins. My father's sisters and brothers and cousins have been trying to use their children for ever since my father died in 94. They tried to use their own children and pretend like their children or his kids in order to get money. And guess what? Marshall paid my aunt Regina, I don't know how much he paid her, but he paid her quite a sum of money to steal the trust fund documents and hide them so my mother and I would never be able to get our trust fund documents out.
Yeah.
To be able to use to take the money out.
All right. So here we go. Darren, you with me?
And then she winds up forging my father's and mother's name on the trust fund, on the trusteeship document as well.
All right.
So he paid her to forge names and everything on the trustee documents. And then he also.
Oh, shit. All right. So we lost him, and he can probably log back in when he gets to a better place. And pretty much. So I wanted to, I'm going to text him, log back in if you can. Okay. All right. So anyway, what I'm thinking about doing is put a link in the description, in a chat, for those of you who want to hop on, and maybe if you got a question for him when he comes, you can hop into the question, and then we could pretty much do that. So if you do want me to put a link in the chat, so if you got a question when he comes back, if he comes back, he should, and then we could talk about from there. Or if you want to join me and just tell me your situation and be nice, and I won't keep everybody up here, but maybe a few people if you want to join into the conversation and just kind of go from that. Let's see. Check your email. Same as the last one in your email. Okay. Just again. All right. So do anyone want to come on with me and ask him a question? Let me know. I'll put a link into the chat, and pretty much he's getting ready to come back in. He just texted me. So he'll be back up here. If you want to do that, let me know. If you want to support the show tonight, I will be appreciative. The Cash App is right down there. So please show your support in gratitude for the show. And if you are getting any value or just hearing this tonight, it is High Strangeness, it is Freaky Friday. So we do talk about a few things. And like I said, he just texted me. He'll be back here shortly. So we will do that. I just want, hang on a second. All right, brother. There you go. All right. So I'm going to put a thing in the chat, see if someone hop on with this, if they just have a question for you. Oh, shucks. Hang on. My bad. All right. There we go. Hang on. My bad. Okay. All right. There is if you got a question, there is a link in the chat. You can hop in here and talk. Make sure your camera's on. Make sure we can see you. And then you ask the question. If you just kind of get off the handle, we're not being disrespectful, but if you got a question of disbelief that you want to ask, just ask it in a modest way. He's open to answering any of those things. And like I said, if and you won't stay up here, I'll just let you ask the question. He can talk with you and then go. Now, I will say this: there's been enough of you having enough questions in that chat that there should be a bunch of y'all asses up here tonight on this screen right about now. So we do have people that hide behind those chats. I just want you to know that, man. They do that really good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. They got usernames and anonymity, and they will use them. And I don't, and that's okay, because maybe everybody don't have a face for TV like we do. You know what I mean? And are they wearing a bonnets? We got a lot of women that wear bonnets in our art. Actually, we probably got the most paranormal bonnet wearing women in the country. That I think we do. And so, yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the taker. Somebody who just want to. Yeah. All right. Somebody asked blood type. Somebody tell me they already took their wig off. Oh, that's funny. All right. Hang on. Okay, there's an echo. I don't know why we're getting it. Hang on.
Really don't soon, like I told you. A lot of students real mad at that nigga. The nigga was then you see hard as head. Hard as head.
All right, so yeah, we get some echo on my end. I don't know why. Hang up, Darren, and come back in.
Hang on. How do I do that?
Just hang it up and then, get off and then click the link to come back in. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So basically we hearing what he's hearing on his phone. All right. So we don't have no takers. Ain't none of y'all coming up on this screen with me tonight. Y'all are so scary. Come on, people. Man, all of y'all good looking folks. I'm gonna start calling some names out like Damon, and all of y'all folks don't want to click on the link and come on up here with us tonight. Y'all are so funny. All right, let's see. All right. So it's coming from your end. Maybe you got a speaker or something. I'm not sure what's going on when I have you is where it's coming from.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really on speaker. I'm just on the normal.
Was it the same as before? So yeah. All right, hang on a second. We got somebody calling. 1 second. All right, so we have a call in. How can I help you? I thought we can hear. Hold on 1 second. Let me see what's going on. Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
Am I live?
You goddamn right you live.
Hey everybody. Hey Darren.
How you doing?
Nice to speak with you. I just want to say, first of all, that you are a brave soul for coming on and telling your story. I know I truly appreciate you.
Oh, I thank you so much.
I had a few questions. So my first question is, has anyone from any of the families that you mentioned specifically, have you been approached by anyone since you put the story out there?
Yes, very much.
And,
I mean,
what was the reaction, or how did that go?
Okay. Well, there's a cousin named Justin Riviere. My father's sister, son named Justin. The sister that's named Margie Jones, that's her son named Justin Riviere. He approached me with his sisters, and they kind of when they first tried to say something, they really didn't want me to know who they were, because I never spent a lot of time with them, in my life. So I couldn't, off the flip say, oh, that's my cousin for sure. But I knew he looked very similar to my father. Okay. So I knew it was some sort of relation there. And I had recognized him from school when I went to school with him. So I'm going to say that. But this guy came up. He was very, 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 how shall I say, stealthy. He did not want me to know anything about who he was or what he was trying to do. And I wasn't sure if this was because of my trust fund, or if this was because, maybe they're trying to embezzle the money out of the trust fund, or maybe they don't want me to talk about this, or maybe it's both of them. I don't know. But ever since one day I walked up to him, I said, do you know somebody named Credell Jones? He said, oh yeah, that's my uncle. I said, that's my dad. And he's like, I said, is your mother named Morgie or Mevelina? He said, my mom's name Morgie. I said, okay. So after I let him know that I knew who he was, because he wasn't going to tell me on his own, right? So I had to walk up and let him know that I knew that's who he was. And then he says, I heard his sister tell him, oh, Justin, you wasn't supposed to tell him who you were. We didn't want you to know. We didn't want him to know that we are his cousins. So she says, you're going to have to leave now. You're going to have to leave now, because he's going to start asking about his trust fund. I'm going to start asking about what happened to my trust fund, or did they know anything about it, right? So then I hear her quickly tell him, oh, well, tomorrow you have to leave so he doesn't ask you any questions. Okay, now following that, I began to become gang stalked by Justin and the very same sisters that told him to leave. I moved from California to Detroit, Michigan. And when I moved to Detroit, he winds up renting one of the rooms out of the house right next to me. Then I began to be gang harassed, threatened. They threatened my life. He said, if you stop investigating what happened to your father and stop investigating what happened to your trust fund, and if you don't stop, we're going to kill you. Yeah, he threatened to kill me if I did not stop investigating what happened to my trust fund and what happened to my father. So the police was brought into this, and it didn't stop him from consistently trying to gang stalk me. He winds up even killing one of my neighbors, actually, because he got involved in a argument with this Caucasian girl, which was my neighbor. And he began while he was renting a room out of her house, they got into a relationship together. And so she became his girlfriend, right? So now I'm hearing them argue about, she's like, I don't want nothing to do with any more of this gang stalking of Darren. I don't want nothing to do with any more of this gang stalking. So she's like, Justin, if you don't stop, I'm going to the police and tell them everything I know about it. So then he's like, you're not going back. And I'm right next door in my living room, and I can hear them arguing. So it's like, you're not going to go to the police and tell them nothing. And all I heard is something smash on the floor. Next thing I heard is Justin screaming, Darren, you made me kill her. You made me kill. He said he blaming me for making him kill her. And then his sisters and brothers start saying, Justin, you didn't have to kill her. You didn't have to kill her. You didn't have to kill her. And his brother said, that's the last straw. I've had it, Justin. That's the last straw. So they're tussling and fighting in the room, in the house at 99 Edgeval in Detroit, Michigan. And it just went, I had to leave. I had to leave out of that whole. I called the police and said, hey, I think my cousin Justin just might have murdered one of my neighbors. They come out, and they find her body. They find her body in the alley with an axe wound in her head or something like this. It was on the news.
So hang on a second, Darren. they can go back and arrest somebody for that, right? Or something. But
My intention was to get it. I mean, obviously he murdered this lady, and my intentions was to get justice for the woman that he murdered.
okay, hang on a second. Selena, hold on 1 second. We have Reaper in the house. I'm gonna give him an opportunity. He got a question. What's going on, man? Let me unmute your mic. Welcome to the screen. What can we do?
What's going on, everybody? Hey, I was wondering, man, like you're like all this shit you're saying. How with the power that these people have? Like, I'm just a regular dude, man, from the streets, from Syracuse, New York, and I just don't understand how you can walk around alive with these rich people. With these rich people, like that's a really big ass question.
Yeah. Well, you know, this goes into the trust fund thing. After my aunt, one day my aunt and my mother and father was trying to figure out how they were going to get my trust fund out, right? Yeah. So they got into an argument. My aunt said, well, if you ain't got the gut, my mother said, well, Regina, he has to die of an accidental death or be declared mentally incompetent, right? So this led to Regina, my aunt, telling my mother that if she didn't have the guts to kill me, she would. So she attempted to drown me to death in the tub. I died. What? Yeah, she attempted to drown me to death when I was about 7 or 8. And I died for about...
You went through a lot at 7 years old. I want to tell you that.
Yeah, I was drowned to death for 4. And so after that, the only thing left for them to do was to try to declare me mentally incompetent. So my mother and sister and aunt spent, I don't know, from the age of 12 all the way up to the age of 18 trying to declare me crazy. So I kind of feel like they feel like that they have somehow reached the goal of convincing everyone, hey, he's mentally imbalanced and he's crazy. And so because of that, it's like a shield. They feel that no one's going to really pay attention to what I say about it. We've done enough, you know, documentation on him. We can get away with this. Who's going to believe anything he says now? So it's kind of that.
I was just saying that same shit to my wife, man.
What were you saying to your wife, Reaper?
I told my wife the same shit. I was like, they just gonna make him look crazy, and ain't nobody gonna believe what the hell he's even saying, because you know we're rich as hell and everybody loves us, you know.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, they did that. They did a number on me. Number on me. Yes.
That's creepy.
You got any other questions, Reaper? I'm gonna get someone else up here, but
yeah, that's good, man. You take care, Darren.
Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. You take care. Have a great day.
Appreciate
Good night, man.
Good night. Anyone else want to come up and join, just like Reaper did? Y'all can hit that link. I'm putting it right there in the chat again. Y'all give a shout out to Reaper for coming on and just asking the question, because it made sense. You know, how do you walk around like this, right? So,
yeah,
pretty much. All right, Selena, you got your question. Go ahead.
So when I had asked the first question, it was in reference to like the big names. I know your family. I'm sure your family came to you and mentioned you, but I mean, as far as some of the big names that you mentioned, I'm just curious to know if any of those people. And another thing is, since you've experienced these ET encounters, but you more so mentioned them when you were a lot younger.
Yes, yeah.
To know if you encountered anything since you've been older.
Since I've been older, I will tell you that. Thanks for that question. That's a very, very good question. And my answer would be this: according to my knowledge, and according to my own eyewitnessing, I haven't really. I wouldn't say I had any encounters since the age of about, I want to say 7 or 8. And that's primarily because of the satanic ritual abuse that was involved. Because when people practice a lot of satanic abuse or a lot of satanic rituals, it is to invoke these entities that we call extraterrestrials or interdimensionary extraterrestrial aliens. It is to invoke them into our dimensional plane. So a lot of the reason why I don't think I've seen those creatures since is because my mother became a devoted Christian. She brought us up in church, and she got us away from the satanic ritual abuse that my father and the Chi Lites and his family was 100% involved in, and the Jackson family. I mean, because they are totally involved in satanic ritual abuse and satanic rituals. And when getting away from the satanic abuse, it gave me the ability to not have any more involvement with these extraterrestrial entities. But I want to tell you this. One time when I seen an extraterrestrial, I was about 8 or 9 at this time. We were coming from church, and it was what looked to be a big cloud over our house. It was raining very bad, so we just took it to be, a cloud storm. And it happened to be a UFO right over our house. And where the rain, and it was a big cloud that was circumferenced the whole entire roof of our house. And it was not raining that much. It had stopped raining all around the house, but yet our house continued to get tremendous amounts of rain. So we didn't know why, but we had this big cloud over our house. And come to find out later that night, I had an extraterrestrial encounter where I seen this gray alien come down from this, what I guess it was a spaceship above the house. And I'm walking in the kitchen to get water. I'm sleeping, and all of a sudden I want to get up and get water. And I'm walking in the kitchen trying to get water. And here's this gray alien knocking on the window with his long fingers. And I mean long fingers that look like they're about 6 inches long. He's tapping on the window, and he's saying with his eyes, not talking through his mouth. He did this telepathically. He's like, Darren, open the window up. Darren, will you open the window up? Now, this is an extraterrestrial gray alien asking me to open up the window so he can come in and abduct me or something. Now, this creature looked very scary. So at that time, the first immediate response is, this is some form of a demon. I didn't even know what an alien was other than ET at that time. So I'm thinking this is some form of demon trying to get me or eat me, because he had these very sharp teeth. Typical gray alien with big black eyes, bald head, and really sharp teeth. And what scared me the most is his eyes and his sharp teeth. Right. So I froze. I actually froze. I could not move. I don't know if the alien froze me some kind of way, or whether I was so terrified I just could not move. I might have been I don't know which one it was, but I couldn't move. So I say that to say this. I think these entities are 100% connected with Satan. My experience that night made me feel that way. And I even had further experiences where we went to church again on another occasion. And the very same people now check this out, the very same people that dropped us off when that spaceship was above the house and I had the alien contact, they came to pick us up on another Sunday too, to take us to their church. This time,
now, what was
we're coming back.
Do you remember?
I don't remember. I think it was like an evangelical church.
Oh, okay.
I want to, or a Pentecostal or evangelical, yes. And so they come to pick us up, and so they're taking us back, dropping us off at home, and this was a black woman and black man. Okay, so they're backing out of the garage and they're going home, right? So what we thought they were driving down the street. Come to find out, they wind up driving back into the garage area, into the driveway area, and tried to open our garage up. I remember this so vividly, man. And what appeared to be somewhat, have you ever seen the movie Cocoon? I think, is it called Cocoon? Cocoon? Mm-hmm. Well, they had these, I want to say, sea pods. If you ever seen the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers and the original movie where they had these sea pods. It looked very identical to that. Not exactly like that, but similar to that. They had these large sea pods in their hand, 2 of them. So the wife starts trying to put these sea pods in our garage. I'm like, Mom, what is she doing? Me and my sisters are like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And apparently they were putting these sea pods, and then they just drove off, right? So my mother said, what did they put in there? What did they put in there? Y'all come with me. Y'all come on with me and find out what they did. So we're following our mother. And next thing I know is that these sea pods are completely like turning into what looked to be like us. So these little sea pods, I would say they're about 5 feet maybe in length. They start turning into what seem to be clones of us. Yeah. So my sister starts screaming. My mother starts screaming. And I'm like, what's going on? And so my mother takes gasoline out of the garage and she throws it on these sea pods and lights them. That's another occasion. I have no explanation for any of that.
Man,
I don't know. Yeah.
You, first of all, let me put up here before I go there. Hang on. All right, there's a copy right now. Y'all want to go to Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Nobles, iTunes, Apple. But there's links in the description of the video so you can get the book inside the Chi Lite.
Inside the Chi Lite's music.
Inside the Chi Lite's music. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, and you know, I want you guys to support the story and pretty much doing that. And let me make sure. Now, I have also, for anyone else, I've actually pinned the link for you guys to come on this tonight. How much time you got left? I know we've been here a couple of hours, my brother, so I just want to make sure we're not taking too much of your time.
I guess I can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So if anyone got any other questions or anything that you want to ask, now will be the last call for this alcohol. Okay, and so if you want to do that, it's pretty much yeah. And we're gonna do that. So I'll give it about a couple of minutes if no one say anything. And then, is there anything else in the book that we didn't really talk about? You don't have to give it all away, but what else is in there that they need to know?
A lot of organized crime involvement.
Oh,
a lot of organized force. Yeah.
Don't give me no trouble. We be like coming out the line.
Yeah. Because Brunswick Records was involved with organized crime. The New Jersey crime family helped run.
No, that's cool. They good people. Organized crime is my friend. So
and you know, they tried to kill my dad.
They ain't the Jacksons. Okay. They come to your ass. They ain't the Jacksons. They don't Guido and all that don't have no relegation or coming. So I'm just
not at all.
Yeah, not at all. Guido, whoever Godfather ain't got nothing, don't take him out. They don't have no they follow orders or people die. It's just that simple. But either way, my brother, I just want to thank you, man, for coming. We're going to stay here a little longer as a group, and I'm sure that we'll talk a little bit from there. But, man, I appreciate your bravery, number one, for just being here and then also allowing us to hear your story. There may be some people think it's a little way out there over here and over there, but then there's people who understands trauma and know that you have been through some shit, right? And so –
I'll gladly take a lie detector test. I have, and but not only that, my sisters also were there and can vouch for that. And my neighbors, who when we were about 6 or 7, that we had so many UFOs flying over our house after the satanic ritual occurred. There were nothing but UFO aerodynamics. These spaceships would literally fly right over our house and do aerodynamics, and to the point our neighbors called the Air Force to find out whether these were UFOs or whether these were United States, of America, some type of secret planes or something, because they were going so fast. Just there'll be one in one area, and like in a second they're way across at a whole nother area. Like, how in the world can they fly that fast and that quick and do those types of dynamics, zipping from one area within seconds all the way into another whole entire region? So they didn't know whether it was experimental aircraft from the Air Force or whether it was UFOs. But there are police reports. There are quite a few reports. We lived on Caroline Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri around 1981-82, and that's Caroline Avenue. So all of our neighbors who lived on our street, 7200 block of Caroline Avenue in St. Louis around 81, 82, 83. If any of y'all hear this, call in or leave a comment or leave a comment on this and back it up, because you guys know we had a neighbor called, I think her name was Mrs. Green. And she literally called Air Force and the police to come out and do an investigation on what was going on with the aerial phenomena over our house. But it was really because of the satanic rituals that we did with the Jacksons and them opening these interdimensionary portals, like CERN, like the CERN, governmental CERN experimentation labs that we have that tries to open these portals up and let these entities in. But I myself believe it was because of the satanic rituals that kind of inducted them into our lives as much as that. And also I do believe, based off what I've seen from my father, that some of his family members may be involved or maybe have been inbred with some of these extraterrestrials as well.
Hey,
so
I got a friend of mine. His name is Rob G. He has a YouTube channel called The Social Dig. I'm sure he can't wait to interview you. And if you're here in the chat, we'll set that up behind the scenes.
Okay.
Get the word out there. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he just loves this, kind of stories. He's in the music industry, so I'm sure he will definitely love to touch on this. And so with that being said, man, I'm not going to hold you up. And I appreciate
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, I appreciate you, answering the call, and now you're here, and I'm sure this is not the end of things. And as we go further, I would love to get us to, looks like we got, hang on one quick second. We might have one last question for you. Somebody's hopping in on my screen here. I just need. All right, Astra B, we don't see a face. So if you're not going to show your face, I'm not going to bring it up. Not right now. We can do audio, but turn your camera on and I'll bring you on the screen. But other than that, man, like I said, I appreciate you, and then we'll just kind of put it like that. And
yeah, and it is a lot of talk about FBI and corruption, FBI and federal corruption within the government and FBI. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it exposes corruption in the FBI, quite a bit of corruption in the FBI as well.
All right, brother. Then we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, appreciate it. All right, so there y'all have it. Let me put some stuff there, and pretty much let me get this down here. And I just want to, yeah. So y'all thank my guy here for coming with us tonight, and so let me go ahead and hang that up. So anyway, all right. So what's your story? Look. Rob is gonna have him on, so that's cool. So what is your story, Selena? And just pretty much overall,
It was very interesting, to say the least. I'm a tad bit exhausted after. It's a lot of information, a lot of details. I think he was extremely brave to come out. I've seen a lot of questions and comments in reference to him being able to say so much and not be a target, and that's very interesting.